What if everything you have deemed as impossible really was possible? What have you known and believed was possible your whole life? You just didn't know how to actualize it. Come and discover a world of infinite possibilities on Outside the Impossible with Venus Castleberg. On this show, we will share pragmatic tools to create the life and living you truly desire. And now, your host, Venus Castleberg.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm super excited for this week's guest. Rachel Silber is a wanderer, a facilitator of possibilities, a speaker, author, change maker, friend, wife, and mom. She's been facilitating with Access Consciousness tools since 2011 and is grateful for every moment with the weird and wacky tools she loves so much. Everything can change when we're ready to see what is and ask for what we like. What are the infinite possibilities? And
yay!
And truthfully, Rachel, I remember the first time you said hi to me, there was just this energy of joy, and I at the time did not know that your website was UB Joy. So I was like, this is not fitting.
Yeah.
So welcome. It's such a joy to have you here, literally. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's, to me, that's like the basic, well, why would we be here if we weren't going to be joyful? If we're going to suffer living, then, why don't we do a do-over, and oops, start again? Because what if that's really why we're here, and really the invitation that we can be. I saw something in my Facebook feed that popped up, one of those memory things that Facebook reminds you of all the wisdom that you may have shared years and years in the past, or not so much wisdom, but this one was rather funny. Exactly. Generally, it's that. But once in a while, there's this golden nugget, wow, this dropped out of my mouth? That's so cool. And this one was really about not turning yourself down for everyone or anyone in any situation, not to turn yourself down. And that includes your joy. That includes your exuberance. That includes your way of being as different as you are in the world. Hello, Birdie. You agree with me, don't you? We live in a place that's full of nature, and sometimes nature calls, and it tends to agree. It's really funny. It's like nature actually would like us to turn up and turn more volume on everything that we be, because nature certainly doesn't turn it down in any way, shape, or form. When it's springtime, everybody blossoms. Everybody's happy to blossom. It's not, oh, I'm sorry, I can't unfurl my little, pink leaves because that tree over there, look at how it's blooming. No, it's totally, whatever your voice is, that was not exactly a pretty sounding bird, but it is totally happy to contribute. I don't know if you guys got that on the mic, but he was super loud and right outside my window. But he's totally willing to be himself. And that's true of all of us, too, if we're willing to be as different and as weird. And I called him weird and wacky because when I found Access, I allowed myself to be a facilitator and to literally enjoy being as weird and wacky and joyful as I be without having to buy all the gravity and seriousness that other people may find more, I don't know, normal. So
that's a beautiful introduction to who you are and even to what Access Consciousness, I'm curious, because I did say you're an Access Consciousness certified facilitator. I'm curious, how did you find Access Consciousness? When did you find Access Consciousness?
Oh, hot diggity damn. I heard Gary in 2010, also on a show, I think it was the Sheila Gale show, if I'm not mistaken. And it was an interview that he had done, and I just thought, this man is strange. I don't know what it is, but this man is really strange. And then a few months later, I heard another facilitator on the I think it was Sheila Gale, if I'm not mistaken, and I got angry. She was joking and joyful, and I was depressed and miserable, and life was terrible. I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was in university. I was medicated for probably a couple of years in terms of the diagnosis of bipolar. And beyond that, I was on a slew of antidepressants for many, many years. I probably went to therapy for over 15 years in total, until I realized that it's my choice to choose to stay miserable or get beyond it. And when I'd heard this other facilitator laughing and joking and everything was just ease, joy, and glory, and everything for me was miserable and gory and terrible and, no good. And then I got so mad that I realized that there's got to be something. There's got to be something. And it took me several tries of listening to the clearing statement to write it on a Post-it note. There was no website of theclearingstatement.com like we have nowadays. And I couldn't understand what she was saying. But I just knew after I listened a few times, I felt better. And so that was, she kept saying bars, bars, bars. I'm like, what the hell are these things? So I live in Guatemala, and when I went to the States, I figured, okay, there's got to be somebody in Houston who does bars. I was visiting my parents, and I did. I found someone, called for a session. They offered me a class, and there we go. I've been an access junkie ever since, because it's been such a gift of being able and willing to be as fully you as you are willing to allow yourself to be at that moment. And each time, and with every class and every conversation, it's more and more and more that. It's more allowance, just joy and exuberance of being whatever it is that's showing up in the moment. And sometimes it's messy. I'm not saying it's all, giggles and everything. That's great. And sometimes joy is just being, relaxed with something, or just dealing with what is, and it may be stopping myself from, becoming a blow up. If sometimes that's the case, if I lose my temper or whatever, but then I can go, okay, well, I can indulge in that. I have that choice, and then I can move beyond it too. So having these tools really made me realize that I'm the painter, the artist, or whatever you want to call it, of the masterpiece of my life and living. And it's not everything happening to me, it's me happening to everything else. And I know that sounds kind of wacky, but that's the huge gift that I received when I found Access and all of these amazing tools.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So it sounded like you see, the reason why I named this show Outside the Impossible was because I really believe anything is possible, but we have this belief system that somehow there are things that we can't change. Was there anything in your life that you really believed you could never change, and you thought that was impossible to change, that you did change?
Yeah, a lot. In all sorts of ways. There are some things that are still like, no, because if I do this, then I can't keep seeking because I would have gotten it all, worked out so far. Yeah, there's those moments too. I've got my certain things, particularly with my body, where I appreciate my body a lot. And it was on a radio show that I did with a friend when we hosted our own radio show, and it was called Let's Get Naked, that we were naked in front of a mirror doing the radio show. And since the gardener came on Wednesdays, and this was a Wednesday, I was locked up in my closet naked in front of a full-length mirror and doing this interview. I never thought not interview, but radio show. And I never thought that I could stand to appreciate my body. My body's not, quote unquote, an ideal body in any way, shape, or form. As a friend of mine once said to me, you wear mama really well. But now I'm actually enjoying mama. I'm enjoying whatever it looks like and allowing it to shift and change as it would like to. And I'm not judging it so harshly, because before I would look at myself in the mirror, like getting ready for a shower, for example, and I'd look at myself and just dash into the shower as quickly as possible, because there was such a barrage of judgments coming in. And I'm not saying that they never exist now, but there's so much more ease with my body, even though it hasn't been this, okay, I've got a size 2 body and, I look like this and this and this. No, I'm actually recognizing that I chose my body. I judged it however way I judged it for many years, or bought other people's points of view or whatever, and created it the way it is. But it's part of who I be. And when I'm willing to enjoy my body and nurture my body, there's a lot more ease in being me in the world. And that's been a lot of fun for me. And that's just one little aspect. I never thought that my body could work. For example, first birth, I have 2 children, and my son was born in the hospital, and I did everything the doctor said, exactly the way the doctor said to do it, including showing up, when the water broke and all that. But then I got, attached to the table and all of to the bed, right? And all of these tubes and all of these other things. And before I knew it, I was having a C-section because I did everything the doctor said. By the second baby, I said, no, this no longer works for me. And we had her at home in a tub because I was willing to begin to know that I know. And that was the beginning of my seeking journey, actually, recognizing that I know and that I know something different than what other people tell me that I know. And so, yeah, it was impossible to have a, VBAC at home, especially when the baby was upside down. But we took care of that. Baby and I worked it out. And yeah, it wasn't impossible when we realized that we have a choice. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And that was huge. And another huge thing was not buying every single thing that's going through my head as me. As the diagnosis that I had, I don't believe I was actually bipolar. Looking back at it years later, what I believe is that I was super aware, and I just didn't know that at the time. And so rather than knowing now, then I was medicated. I had, injections of lithium once a week and all these other meds that I was taking, and there was something wrong with me, and that was supposed to be wrong with me for life. But it's not the case.
So how did you change that point of view? Like, how did you realize that you were actually aware instead of the diagnostic?
Well, the aware part I recognized only with the tools of access later on. But where I stopped with the medication and the going to therapy, I know this is going to sound really odd, but I just got bored of telling the same story. Because if they would refer me to a different psychiatrist or to a different, for the medications, because I would see a psychologist on a regular basis, and then I would get sent to whoever they recommended at the moment for the medications. And even when my son was born, they said I had, I can't even remember what that thing is called now, where you get depressed after having a baby. So, from the hospital, they had sent me to a different person to get medicated over there. But when I got tired, because it was like I had to retell and retell and retell the same old story. And one of the 10 commandments in Access Consciousness is don't listen to, tell, or buy the story. Because you keep reliving the exact same point of view over and over again. It's like it's got you hooked, or it's got you trapped, or it's got you anchored to that very point of view, and you keep recreating the same things over and over again. And that's what was going on with me until I saw that I'm just tired of telling this story. And when I let go of the story, I was able to be and receive and choose other things without even having those words for it. I could just be something different than whatever that story was.
Well, it's beautifully put. So the truth is it's really, you could choose anything. It's not working for you.
Oh my goodness.
Something different.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is that you don't have like a point of view or a trap. Like I've got, after that, Let's Get Naked show, I've got a lot of appreciation of my body. And I can dance around in front of the mirror, well, I've got kids walking on me periodically, but I can dance in front of the mirror if I feel like it, my bra, my underwear, and I'm okay with that. Before, I wouldn't be able to because there was so much body shame. But it's different now. It may not look like, I've my mother said, what has changed in your life since Access? And I'm like, wow, night and day. She said, you're still aging and you're still fat and you're still blah, 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 the joy of parents. But I looked at what she was saying and I'm like, wow, that's a very external perspective. When you really look at the person beyond that 1 millimeter of skin or outside perspective, how is this person functioning in the world? And the way that I function now and the way that I functioned in 2011 are two entirely different ways of being. Literally, one was from a victim perspective, and one was much more empowered and much more joyful to be alive. So yeah, a lot's changed, but it doesn't necessarily look the way you think it has to.
Totally.
Universe has a sense of humor.
Yes, it does. Totally does. What was one of your favorite tools with discovering that you were more aware than you had ever given yourself credit
Wow. In so many different ways where I could just go, is this mine or is this person that I'm speaking with? And if I realize that it's the person that I'm speaking with, then, okay, so how can I use this information? Or another one that's fun is asking, okay, what can I actually say now that this person can receive? And be able to tap into their universe enough to know, if I say this, are they actually going to be able to receive the joy and the exuberance and the ease from which I'm coming? Or are they only going to be able to see a box that says, this person is too far on left field or whatever it is? That way I could use awareness to know what's next and what can this person receive or not. That was a really cool way. And there's so many other ways, like knowing where to fly or how to fly if I'm going on a trip, or asking about a hotel. When I'm tapping into the awareness and asking questions like, okay, well, what's going to create greater? And I'm willing to tune in and really listen to, what's the universe whispering over here? I can follow when it's time to purchase a ticket, or where to stay, or what's going to create greater. And it's not a cognitive, logical thing. It just somehow all works out. And that's part of using your awareness for you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. If you guys have any questions for Rachel, please feel free to call 202-570-7057. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
What is magnificent about you that you've never acknowledged? Are you ready to let your own light shine? What if you were 1,000 times more potent and powerful than you give yourself credit for? What if there was a monthly call that is designed specifically to empower you to be all you can be? Would that be fun for you? Venus Castleberg is now offering a magnificent monthly membership for only $50 a month. Mention this ad and receive 50% off. To register or for more information about the membership, events, and services, please go to www.venuscastleberg.com. Is now the time to be different?
This is the story of a very special woman. Just a few knew about her superpowers. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Rachel Silber, and we were just talking right before the break about awareness, which I think is a great lead-in to today's topic about being present. Rachel, I know this might seem obvious to some, but at the same time, I'd love for you to just share, what does being present mean to you?
That's a brilliant question. That's a really, really brilliant question. It just feels like it would be something so different every time, where it's, for me, a sense of intimacy with what is, a sense of just being with what is, not trying to change anything, not trying to change it, just being willing to be fully, for me, present with whatever is going on around me. A lot of times we do a lot of suppressing, a lot of avoiding, a lot of ignoring, sticking our head in the sand, and there's nothing being present there. Presence takes bravery, takes courage, takes vulnerability, takes being willing to look at what is and trust yourself enough to know that you can be and you can handle and you can shift whatever it is that comes up, because whatever it is that comes up is never, ever, ever bigger than you are. And that's where I love the title of your show, Beyond the Impossible, because it's, you're going beyond anything that you've defined as a barrier, as a limitation, as a this is impossible. When you're willing to be truly, truly present with what is, you can see it for what it truly is, not necessarily what it masquerades as being. And wow, so much can change when you're willing to just be there with something or someone.
Beautifully put. And so, have you always been present, or did you have to work at it?
No. No, definitely not. I probably was as a kid, I think a lot of us have as a kid, and then we buy into too many of other people's stories or other ways that other people function and see the world and other people's points of view, and then we forget who we truly be. Because to me, when we come in, we are fully present. We're very aware of what's required. We're very aware of who we be, and we're fine with whatever is as long as we have it work for us. See, some people think that to be an allowance of something, to let it be what it is being a doormat. No, that's not the case. It's actually being willing to see, okay, well, what's going to work for me here? Is this working for me or isn't it? And if it isn't, so what is it that I'm holding on to? And something that really brought me into becoming more present with ease was recognizing how much of a world of thoughts, feelings, and emotions we live in. Even though in Access we say those are the lower harmonics of perceiving, being, knowing, receiving. And still, even with all the tools, we keep responding to thoughts. whatever thoughts those are that are swimming through our heads or through the world like radio waves, and we keep holding on to the ones that seem so familiar to us, and then we repeat them as a story or as a definition of who we are. And then we're not being present, because we're not being the whole truth of who we be. We're limited into whatever those thoughts are that we happen to be entertaining at the moment.
So, and thoughts being, they could be like dwelling on the past, worrying about the future, like anything that's just taking you out of the present. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're like clouds passing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
All around us. Yeah.
So how
and that
would
really
you
changed my life when I recognized them. Sorry.
No, it's great. Yeah, that was one of my questions. So let's just go there. so how is being present change? What has it created in your life and change? How does it change your life?
When you're in a turmoil of thoughts, when you're trying to figure out who you are or what you've got to do next or what's going on and how do you deal with this quote-unquote problem or that quote-unquote thing or whatever, you're in such a tizzy, essentially. It's almost like you're stirring up the muck in a pool or in a lagoon. And you're just stirring it up and stirring it up and stirring it up, and you're thinking about it and worrying about it and wondering what can you do to fix it or change it or whatever the case is. When you're willing to be present and you're willing to relax, and this is where I love the mantra of access, all of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory, then we allow whatever is to settle. It doesn't mean we buy it as real. It doesn't mean that we have to take it as it is. We just look at what is. And then we begin to get a little more awareness because the mud kind of sinks to the bottom and the water becomes more clear. That presence, that being willing to be defenseless, vulnerable, present, open, just looking at what is, allows it to shift and change. Giving it that space to be whatever is required for it to shift and change. There's such a peace and such a joyful peace in letting things be, letting them settle, and knowing, trusting yourself enough that whatever is required to change will change, especially when you're choosing different. But you don't have to buy the turmoil around as if it's real.
Okay. Would you say a little bit more about that? Because I know that some of our listeners may be like, how is, getting my foot stepped on not real?
Getting the foot stepped on is totally freaking real. And bumping it into the door or having a car accident or whatever, totally, totally real. What's different is what is your reaction to that situation? Somebody could cut you off in line. That's real. But you have that space, that pause, that moment to, okay, I could yell at this person or I could scream or whatever. And, if somebody steps on your toe, it's quite appropriate to scream, perhaps even punch them. I don't know, depending if they did that on purpose or not, right? But the thing is, you've got that little space, and that to me is one of the greatest gifts of access, is the space that I've had to be able to see whatever's going on around me from almost a bird's eye view, where I'm zoomed out enough where I could go, okay, well, in the bigger picture, this may not be as traumatic as it seems at this very moment. So what is the gift in this situation that I haven't seen yet? I have that space, that one breath, that one, moment to be able to choose, am I going to scream and shout and, rail against life? Or am I going to say, all right, okay. Wow, okay, so what's right about my toe being here? Maybe the information is, don't put your toe around this person in a dance class, or whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that it's not real, but it is our perspective about whatever it is, or what the next thought is, and acting on it, or choosing not to, because we could choose something else, that's where we have freedom. And Viktor Frankl, actually, I can't remember the quote because I've bastardized it, but that ability to choose your response. It's like dancing with life. You choose the next step. You choose, are you going to follow? Are you going to lead? Are you going to move this way? Are you going to sway that way? All of those possibilities are available in any given moment. And you can be reactive, or you can be creative in how you respond. And I love that because I love to play with, I'm silly, and I love to play visually with things, and I see the word reactive, and I see the word creative, and they're the same letters. The only thing is the C comes first in one. It comes with your choice, and you're willing to see what contribution will this be in my life. Or you could be reactive and put everybody else first, and then you react to whatever it is that they're choosing or whatever that's going on. So that's, to me, a fun play on words. You get to choose your life. Are you going to be reactive with it? And it's your choice always in how you respond. And it is a dance. And life will hand you, oh my God, will it hand you a lot of different experiences. And as I love in the How to Become Money workbook that Gary and Raz channeled, in 1996, and in a class, and it's a beautiful transcript. There's so much wisdom in those 88 pages that's just amazing to me. And it's the invitation to recognize that everything, even the dog shit on the ground, can be a contribution to you. It will tell you, hey, I'm here. You might not want to put your foot there. It's our willingness to see, okay, am I willing to complain about the dog shit being there, or am I willing to go, oh, thanks for the information, and take a step forward? Maybe that person stepping on your toe was information about what that person could be like in your life later on, after you may be committed with that person for some time, and then you realize, I'm not my best bet, So what is the gift there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard Dane recently talking about like what's the beauty behind this, and we ask it in different ways, what's right about this we're not getting, and what's the gift in this, because the truth is the universe is always conspiring for us, even if we can't really see how,
Yeah. We're looking at things from such a low perspective, like we're in the ants. I sat down and watched some ants one day in the park with the kids. We were walking the dog, and we sat down and watched these leaf cutter ants. And they were carrying these little bits of leaves on their backs and going in a straight line. And, there was a branch, and then there was a rock, and then and they just kind of, they didn't necessarily go over. They walked around the thing. And for us, it was no big deal. For them, it took a couple of seconds until they made their way around. But we could see things from a tall human perspective. We could see what they couldn't necessarily see. There was a block coming up. But they work their way around it, and that's an invitation. Gary speaks about that many times. Is how can you get around this? Get around it. Get around it. Because what if it isn't such a big block? The ability to. Okay, so the mantra is one of my favorite tools in Access. And it is the invitation to do what is so rare in this world, and that's to receive. To receive the beauty that we be, to receive the beauty of the experiences that we have, to receive the beauty of life and living, everything that's around us, if we're willing to have it. If it says all of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory, including the person that steps on our toe, including, the business going south, or a move, or a partner, or whatever the case is. It's all of life. And when we're willing to be present with it and be intimate with it, be vulnerable around it, be open with it, then everything comes with ease, with joy, and glory. The ease and the joy come from our choice. We can choose to bang our head against the wall. We can choose to complain and resist and struggle, or we can choose to have ease with it. And when we choose that, it is amazing how much ease shows up. And in that How to Become Money workbook, Raz says, you come looking for experience. You come to this plane to have experiences. But what you don't do is choose to have ease. So it's a choice. And if we ask to have ease with everything in our life, and ease and joy and glory, and I sing it in the shower, all of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. So then I'm more pepped up, and I repeat this song, dancing in the shower and soaping myself off, and it just creates a more magical, joyful day. And so when you ask, how is it that you've chosen joy, or you be joy, when did this begin? Because I chose it. And we can all do that, because if I went from being injected with lithium, once a week, and being miserable and being suicidal and, life happening to me and not liking anything, to be thrilled, really thrilled with, okay, what do I get to read or know or learn, or who do I get to talk to? What do I get to create? How much fun can I have at every moment now? Even my daughter says to me, yeah, I don't like doing homework, but you get to do your job, and your job is fun for you, because I freaking choose for it to be fun. I choose for it to be contribution. I could resist everything, or I could receive everything. And it's my choice, always. And it's such a gift.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's beautiful. It reminds me of what Dane said in a class recently. He was like, a lot of people hear the word ease and they think that means everything's going to be easy.
Yep. Nope. Two different things.
Yeah. It's like, no, life still happens, and yet
Yep.
you can have ease and joy with it. You can have a peace with it. Like, it doesn't have to affect you. You're not at the effect of everything that happens.
In the same way, yeah. I remember seeing, my mother is a survivor of the Holocaust, and I remember seeing a movie, and she saw it with me too. It's called Life is Beautiful, and it is a beautiful movie, and it is a definite twist. It's not told from the typical, victim kind of mentality. It is how this man turns things around so that his son doesn't see the horror as much all around him, but sees a little more of the beauty or of the possibility, the humor, the play that one could have even in a circumstance like that. My mother didn't like it because she said it's terrible. They're not portraying it as it was. The thing is, as it was for one person isn't necessarily as it was for another person. And that's where each of us, it's how we see the world. It's the experience that we bring. It's if we're willing to see the gift of every choice and every experience and everything that we've had in our life up to now, and look at that as, wow, what is the beautiful contribution that this was, as you were saying with Dane, speaking about the beautiful energy. When we're willing to appreciate it, whatever it was, even if it sucked. I was divorced. Okay. At the time, I thought my life was over. And next, at this point, I just look at it with a sense of humor. But if we see everything that we've experienced up to now and go, you know what? I'm greater for it. It brought me right here, right now. What else is possible? What else could I contribute to and create? Oops.
We're going to take another short break. You're doing great. Please call in if you have any questions for Rachel about being present. 202-570-7057.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
Who said life had to be hard and disempower you? What if all of life really could come to you with ease and joy? What if everything you saw as a wrongness of you was actually one of your greatest strengths? What if you could wake up every morning with a newfound sense of empowerment? Join Venus Castleberg to discover a world of infinite possibilities. Every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, Morning Musings goes live on the Venus Castleberg CF Facebook page. What magic can we create every day?
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Okay, great.
How is it that thoughts create our world?
Okay, cool. Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Rachel Silber, and we're talking about being present. And thank you for everything you've been sharing with us. This has been really great conversation, Rachel. Would you
Thank you for
into,
inviting me to that.
Yeah. Would you go more into thoughts, like what you mean by thoughts and how they impact us and how we can change them? Just more about that.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that I'd recognized, there's so much in our world that we tend to react to rather than, what we spoke about in the previous segment, where we're reactive rather than creative. When we're looking out at the world and hearing so many, we have a lovely, lovely tool in Access Consciousness, which is called Who Does This Belong To?, which we can use for any thought, any feeling, any emotion, anything that's coming up in our world. But the thing is, I've seen a lot of people use it as like a Band-Aid or as a fix-it tool, rather than recognizing that it isn't real and it's shifting anyway. And I love a story, I think it's from Susanna Mittermeier's book, which is a brilliant book for anyone who hasn't read it yet, called Pragmatic Psychology. She has a story about a tree. And the thoughts, or other people's stuff, other people's points of view, other thoughts, are just like the things that are going on around this tree. So the sun is shining, right? It's, warming up, it's shining, it's bright and brilliant, and the tree still recognizes that it's a tree. It's not the sunshine that it can feel. Some rain clouds are passing by and they're blocking the sun. They still haven't started to rain, but they're blocking the sun. But the tree doesn't get confused as to who the tree is. The tree recognizes those are just passing by. They may be blocking the sun, but it's not like I have to, dial up the next door neighbor and go, hey, the sun's gone, you got to do something about this. No, it's just blocking it for a bit. We can trust that it's moving on. And the tree is still a tree. Never gets confused as to if it is the sun or if it is the clouds or even any of the raindrops that are falling on it. And they may hit it, he may get wet, Mr. Tree may get wet, may get even covered in snow or ice, but it's never confused about who he or she is, right? It's always a tree. It's not the snow, it's not the ice, it's not the rain, it's not even the bird shit, that may land on a leaf or two along the way. It's none of those things. It recognizes that it is it, and whatever's going on around it is always in this state of flux, in this state of movement. Something is always changing. And the tree is still enough to recognize that I'm still the tree. And whatever is going on around me goes and comes and goes and comes and shifts and changes. If I'm still enough, still a tree enough, then whatever it is, it's not me. It's external. Can have a point of view about it, but it's not who I be. And I love that simplicity of I'm still the tree. And I love the I'm still. There's two things in there. Both I'm the tree. I'm not whatever's going on outside. And it's also the I'm still. I'm still. I'm here. I'm willing to be present. And whatever it is that's going on around me is shifting and changing. And I can trust it to shift and change without me having to actually even do anything about it. And there is such an invitation to get out of the doing and the fixing and step into being. And that's been a huge invitation with the tools of Access for me.
Wow, that's a beautiful example. I was like, oh yeah, I can totally get that. Like that, and thoughts are just clouds and sunshine, and they're just flow. They don't have to mean
But
anything.
how many times have we made them mean something? And then, spend so much time and energy and everything else trying to fix whatever that thing is.
And
that's
therapy.
Just, oh yeah, big time. Yeah, and it's just a cloud blowing past. But we make that cloud so big and so real and so all-encompassing that we forget that it's something that can shift and change and just blow past. Wow, had I known that when I was 20, my life would have been different. And I'm really glad that it was the way it was, because now I actually have something where I can share with someone and say, I get it. I've been where you are, and there's so much more available if you'd like to have it. And if I can do it, oh my God, can they?
It is possible for anyone.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
Well, I know that we were going to do a little exercise on a practice in being present. Would you like to do that now?
Sure. So if you're driving, just keep driving. If you're somewhere where you can close your eyes for a moment, then close your eyes. But if you're driving, do not close your eyes, because that would not be good for anybody else on the road or for you. So let's see. I was in a beautiful class with horses and with Susie Godsey, who is the horse whisperer of Access Consciousness, one of several. And she invited us to do something called a 3-point exercise. And so I'm going to expand on it a bit more. But I love the 3 points exercise is where you become aware of 3 places, 3 points on your body. So right now I'm sitting on my bed. So I can perceive the soft mattress beneath my tush. And I'm sitting up, and I've got a pillow behind me, and so I can feel that. So that's 2 spots, my bum and there on my back, and I've got my hands on my knees, and my pants are actually rather soft, so it's kind of cool. So that's 3 points of connection. And you can also look out. You can also look out and see something at a distance as a 3rd point if you like. But the thing is, get 3 points. So if you're sitting, feel your tush in the seat. Maybe your hands are in your lap. Maybe they are on your desk. Maybe they're by your side. But perceive them too. Perceive what they're touching. Perceive what it feels like. Is it soft? Is it hard? But more so about that contact point, your skin touching, whatever that is. And then find another point. Maybe put a hand on your heart. Or maybe you've got your eyes softly open and look out at a certain point. But have 3 places that you connect to. Because when you do that, you automatically become present here and now. When you have your awareness on at least 3 points, you are not everywhere else. This is something that you can use when you're making love with someone, when you're riding a horse, when you're walking out in nature, and you can perceive your feet touching the ground, or your back against a tree, or some scent or something that catches your eye, whatever it is that your eye would like to connect with. It brings you in to being present in your body in this moment, exactly as you are. And when you're willing to be present like this, it is amazing how much more present everything else begins to be around you. I know from experience when I was on a horse and I was in my head and I was skittish and afraid and going into a story of, oh my God, I'm scared of horses. The horse could receive that information very, very clearly and was skittish around me too. But when I was willing to feel the saddle beneath me, to feel my thighs, and mind you, you can put in saddle or you can put in the person you enjoy being with or whatever works for you, right? But if you can perceive 3 points in your body, on your body, next to your body that you can connect with, there is an ease, a relaxation, and a presence that's beyond anything that I could put into words if you were willing to be that more in every experience. It would change, it would melt, it would shift just with you being you in that moment. So as you tap into those 3 points being you, I'd like you to lower your barriers. And by barriers, I mean any point of view that you have about yourself. Any point of view about how silly or difficult or strange this may be. Just whatever point of view, whatever thought, whatever other chattering may be going on, let it down, let it down, let it down. Connect to those 3 points again. Let everything else melt. Melt down. And if any barriers begin to come up, ask them to lower again. And expand. Expand yourself. Expand, expand, expand. Expand. And allow yourself to relax into the space, that expansive, delicious, melty space that you be, still being present of those 3 points and so much further beyond them. Now, what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to be the truly generative energy, space, and consciousness that you be? That space, that awareness, that's the gift of you. That's the unique flavor that you bring to the world. When you're willing to be the space that melts everything that it touches, not melting from anything other than letting go of what's not real there. Everything can become an invitation to you in the world. Everything can shift and change and play with you, engage with you, tickle you, and you tickle it when you're willing to be the space, the presence, the gentleness, the kindness, the joy, and the wonder that you truly be. And feel free to open your eyes and enjoy.
Wow, that was really wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
And it was so neat in the whole, because I actually had to let go and be present too, and I was just like, you know what, we're going to end on time, we're going to be good. So you did perfect. So I'd love for people to know how to find you. Where can they find you? I know that your website is U, the letter U, and the letter B, joy.
The letter B
.com.
and the word joy.com, yes. And also my Facebook page. I have a business page called Rachel Silber, Joy of Being. And there's my personal profile there as well. And I'm going to be doing in September a month-long dive into the How to Become Money workbook. The Gary Douglas book that I'd mentioned before, which I absolutely love, and there's so much yumminess there. People are welcome to join me there too, and they'll find out more information about it on that Facebook page that I have, and I have a what do you call those? Instagram. It'll be on there too. There you go.
And what other things do you offer in the world, Rachel?
Oh my
Do you
goodness!
offer private
Next week.
sessions
I offer classes, bars classes, facelift classes, individual body process classes, foundation classes. Next week I'm heading to the beach. If anybody speaks Spanish and would like to enjoy a foundation class on the beach, we're going to be on the beaches of El Salvador enjoying and melting and getting present and receiving the contribution of the ocean too. So you're welcome to contact me for any and all of those, or invite me to your neck of the woods. I'm happy to travel and enjoy and hug and play. Thank you. Thank you so much, Venus. Thank you for this space.
It was beautiful, beautiful to have you, Rachel. And thank you, folks, for listening in. I'll talk to you next. Oh, and I love the lightning in the background. That's so cool. How does it get better? All right, Rachel. Thank you.
How does it? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bye.